Hello. I'm recently back from Kyle Cease's meditation retreat in California. I just wanted to share with you the biggest thing that I learned while I was there. So I've been meditating for over a year, but I think I learned while I was away that I never really knew what meditation was all about until I went to his retreat. So what happened was I arrived there on the first day and quickly realised that I hadn't paid for any of the food at the place where we were staying. And I checked and found out it was quite expensive, and the woman on reception said, "Oh, you could always eat this food in this cafe and that'll be a lot cheaper." So I thought, okay, I'll try the cafe and see how it goes. So the first evening I ate in the cafe and didn't eat with all the rest of the participants. Same the following morning, I had breakfast in the cafe, not with the other participants. Same at lunchtime on the next day, didn't meet anyone at lunchtime. And in the retreat itself, Kyle and the rest of the team were not really encouraging us to talk to anyone else on those first couple of days. So I just I realised by the middle of the first full day that I hadn't really had a conversation with anyone yet. So I kind of thought, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe I can have my own private, silent retreat. Just keep myself to myself, not really have any talks with anyone else. My meditations were going really well, really relaxed. So I thought, maybe I could go really deep if I don't really interact with anyone else. However, then on the second full day, Kyle announced that he was going to join everyone for the lunch in the place where everyone else was having lunch, and he was going to answer people's questions. So I thought, I don't really want to miss that, so I paid to go to the main lunch. So I was having lunch and inevitably got chatting to the woman sitting next to me. And of course the inevitable question of what do you do came up. And I'm unemployed at the moment. Well, I haven't been saying I'm unemployed though. I've been saying I'm writing a book or I'm starting my own organisation, because I think saying I'm unemployed just brings me down. So I said to her, I'm writing a book. And then this feeling just came up inside of me, like fear, anxiety. Whoa, what are you talking about, writing a book? You haven't written anything for ages. You don't know how to write. Who's going to buy your book? Oh, she's going to ask you what it's about, and you don't even know what it's about yet. And this was, I'd been feeling so peaceful in this beautiful location by the sea, doing all this meditation, and then suddenly I just had all this anxiety and fear come up inside me. But I thought, maybe this is a good thing that this has come up, because I'd heard other people sharing things after our meditations. Kyle would ask people to stand up and share something, and people were coming up with all sorts of deep issues that they that had come up during the meditation, and they'd learned something from this painful thing coming up. So I thought, maybe this is a good thing, having those sort of conversations with people, because they'll bring things up and then it will come up in my meditation, and I'll be able to learn something, I'll be able to deal with it and fix it, and then I won't feel that fear and anxiety anymore. And so I thought, okay, I'll stop doing this silent thing, and I'll start having more conversations with people in the breaks. So then we went back to the next session after lunch, and Kyle announced, well, he invited us all to spend the rest of the day and the next morning in complete silence. Just when I had decided I wanted to start talking to people again. So I nearly put my hand up and said, like, I don't want to do that because I want to talk to people, because I want to bring up these fears in me, I want to fix them. But I didn't say that anyway. So I went along with it, and I spent the evening in silence and the next morning again. And this thought kept coming up, like, oh, I need to fix this thing, I need to fix this problem. And I don't know at what point this happened, but at some point during the evening, I realised meditation is not about fixing those things or trying to make things come up so you can deal with them. What I realised is that when we meditate, we're connecting with a deep part of us. And Kyle, and I call it as well, Kyle calls it our heart. But I think it's maybe more helpful to call it the part of you that knows that everything is fine. And when you connect with that part of you that knows everything's fine, all the fears and the anxieties and the worries and the, am I doing this right? What am I doing with my life? I can't write a book. Those sort of thoughts come up. You don't get caught up in them because you're standing in a deeper place where everything's fine. So you're in a place of everything's fine, but you see and you hear these thoughts coming up, and you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, there's a thought happening, there's a feeling coming up. But you know, you don't have to go there, you don't have to worry, you don't have to listen even. Well, you can listen, but you don't have to get caught up in it because everything's fine. And now that I've discovered this, I'm finding meditation so much easier, because I think before I thought I had to do something in meditation. I think I thought I had to practice something and then one day I would be good at it. You know, I thought I suppose I still am practicing something. I'm practicing connecting with this part of me that knows everything okay, but it's so much easier. And especially another thing that we did on the meditation was spend some time connecting with our 5-year-old self. So he got us to imagine we were there with our 5-year-old self and either have a conversation with her or him, or write down some things that your 5-year-old is thinking, or play with yourself. Like I did a bit of colouring with my 5-year-old self, because that's what I used to love to do when I was 5. And I found that really helpful, and I've continued doing that afterwards as well. And that's easy to visualise because I know what I looked like when I was 5 years old. I have photographs of what I looked like when I was 5. So that's really easy. Then I thought, this part of me that knows everything's okay, I don't have a visual representation for that. So I was kind of, while I was on the retreat, I was just going to like a sort of feeling of peace and just that sort of mantra of everything's fine, everything's okay, there's no problem, I am love, or whatever. But I thought it might be helpful if I had a visual representation as well. So, and that came up while I was meditating, and it's basically a picture of me meditating, but sort of it's like I've been to the Buddhist centre. Is that what it's called? The Buddhist centre in Bristol on Gloucester Road, if you know it. And they've got these pictures on the walls of what I would call sort of goddess-like women or female figures sitting cross-legged, meditating, and each one is a different colour, and they've got different things in the picture with them, and they represent different things. I'm not quite sure if they have. I'm sure they have names and they mean something, but I don't know much about that. So anyway, this image I have is now of me like that, and I think I'm green. It's got a green tinge to it. I'm not sure what that means. And I've drawn a picture of myself. I might show it to you. So anyway, yeah, since I got back, I've been meditating for 2 hours every day. Nearly every day. The weekend I didn't, but yeah, every weekday, 2 hours. And it's so much easier. Because I know thoughts come up like, I wonder what time it is, but I'm sitting in a place of everything's fine, I don't need to know what time it is. Whereas I used to have those thoughts and not be able to ignore them, and then after about half an hour, I'd find myself looking at the clock and just kind of like waiting for the end. Whereas now, yeah, just sitting for 2 hours. It also helped that on the meditation retreat, he started us off on the first day with a 20-minute one, and then in the afternoon 35 minutes, and then the next day like 45 minutes, the next day an hour, and he built us up gradually until I think we got to about an hour and 15 on the retreat. And I realised that was a really good way of doing it, because your body and your mind just get used to it. So I just thought, well, I want to go for 2 hours, so I just, while I was still in the States, built up to 2 hours, and since I got back, I've been doing 2 hours every day. So yeah, I will, I might share a picture with you, where is she, of my part of me that knows everything's okay. Oh yeah, I didn't draw her green. I drew her pink and yellow, but when I imagine her when I'm meditating, she is green. There you go. So, I highly recommend Kyle Cease's meditation retreats. Bye.